All right, let's just dive right in with one of the biggest questions you can possibly ask. What are you? I mean, really? Are all your thoughts, your feelings, your whole sense of who you are, is all that something more than just, the physical stuff sloshing around inside your skull? Well, today, we're going to dig into something called the astonishing hypothesis.
But before we get to that, let me ask you something a little more unsettling. Imagine this. What if one single, bizarre accident could erase everything that makes you, you? Just gone, wiped clean, leaving your body behind, but the person you are has just vanished.
Okay, to even wrap our heads around how this could happen, we've got to go back in time, way back, to 1848 to meet a guy named Phineas Gage. And let me tell you, his story is hands down one of the most famous and just plain weirdest cases in the entire history of neuroscience.
So before the accident, Phineas Gage was, by all accounts, a model citizen. He was a foreman on a railway crew, and people said he was sharp, super capable, totally reliable. The kind of guy you'd put in charge of a tough job because you knew he'd get it done and get it done right.
And then one day, the moment came that changed absolutely everything. There was a freak explosion and a tamping iron. We're talking a metal rod, like a spear, over 3 feet long. It shot straight up through his head. It went in under his cheekbone and blew out the top of his skull. And the craziest part? He survived. I mean, people said he was conscious and talking just a few moments later. It's just unbelievable.
And this is the crucial part. The man who recovered wasn't the same Phineas Gage. Not at all. His body healed, his memory was fine, he was just as intelligent, but his personality? It was completely rewritten. His own friends said it best. Gage was no longer Gage. It was as if the physical damage to that lump of tissue in his head had literally destroyed the very essence of the person he used to be.
So the reason a story like Gage's hits us so hard is because it flies right in the face of one of our most basic intuitions, right? This deep-seated belief we have that our mind, our soul if you like, is something separate from all the physical junk of our body. It's that classic idea of the ghost in the machine.
The guy who really put this idea on the map was the philosopher René Descartes. His big theory, which we now call Cartesian dualism, basically argues that your mind and your body are made of two completely different kinds of stuff. One is physical, the body. The other is non-physical, the mind or soul. For Descartes, you're basically two things packed into one.
And his argument for this was actually pretty clever. He said, look, you can doubt almost anything. You can doubt you have a body. Hey, maybe you're dreaming, right? Or maybe you're in the Matrix. But the one thing you can't doubt is that you are doubting. The act of thinking proves that a thinker exists. And that led him to his famous line, I think, therefore I am. So for him, the mind, the thinking thing, was certain, while the body was not. They had to be separate.
And you know what? This idea feels super intuitive. It's baked into our culture. I mean, it's everywhere. Think about any body-swapping movie like Freaky Friday, or any story about ghosts or demonic possession. They all run on this one core assumption, that the you part can be pulled out of your body and maybe even plugged into something else. It's like your soul's the pilot and your body is just the plane.
But what if that gut feeling, that whole ghost in the machine idea, is just wrong? What if this story of Phineas Gage is pointing us toward a much more radical and, honestly, for a lot of people, a much more unsettling truth? And that, right there, is where we get to the astonishing hypothesis.
So Francis Crick, the guy who co-discovered the structure of DNA, he didn't mince words. He put it like this. You, your joys and your sorrows, your memories and your ambitions, your sense of personal identity and free will are in fact no more than the behavior of a vast assembly of nerve cells. Basically, everything that makes you you is just the physical buzzing of your brain. There's no ghost, there's just the machine.
Decades before Crick, Charles Darwin scribbled a much simpler version of this in one of his private notebooks. He boiled this whole massive idea down to just 3 words. Brain makes thought. Simple, direct, and a total rejection of that ghost in the machine.
Okay, so this whole viewpoint has a name. It's called materialism, and it is pretty much the bedrock of all modern neuroscience. The idea is that the mind isn't a thing at all. It's a process. It's what the brain does. It's not the ghost in the machine, it's the whirring of the gears.
But if you accept that, you're immediately faced with a pretty profound mystery. I mean, how is this possible? How does a physical object, the brain, give rise to the totally non-physical experience of being conscious? This brings us to the weird puzzle of sentient meat.
Because when you get right down to it, that's what we're talking about. Your brain is a squishy 3-pound lump of tissue. It's meat. And yet somehow this biological hardware is running the incredible software of your entire conscious life. How?
There's this fantastic little short story by an author named Terry Bisson that just nails this feeling of absurdity. It's a conversation between two super advanced aliens who've just stumbled upon us here on Earth. And one alien turns to the other and just says, "They're made of meat." And the second alien just completely loses it. He's like, "That's ridiculous. How can meat build a machine? You're asking me to believe in sentient meat." And that story just perfectly captures how completely bizarre our own existence really is once you strip it all down. We are thinking, feeling, conscious meat. So, if that's what we are, soft machines, as someone once called it, does that make being human less special? Does it take away all the magic and the mystery? Or maybe, just maybe, it could open the door to a whole new kind of awe.
Because, this scientific view doesn't have to be depressing or reductionist at all. Think of it this way. Learning about geology doesn't make a mountain range any less beautiful, right? If anything, it adds another layer of wonder. It's the same idea here. Understanding the mechanics of the mind can actually add a whole new profound layer of appreciation for what it means to be human.
The philosopher Immanuel Kant once wrote that two things filled him with total awe: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. And that's really the point, isn't it? The universe inside our heads, this bizarre, incredible universe of sentient meat, is every bit as magnificent and worthy of our awe as the one filled with stars and galaxies.
And all of this leads us to one last big, lingering question. If our mind is our brain, if our thoughts and our choices are just the products of a physical machine that has to obey the laws of physics, then what does that mean for free will? Are we really in charge? Or are our choices truly our own? That is the unsettling question the astonishing hypothesis leaves us with.